guys? I'm James. We're at DS Recordings tonight, part of Neptune Sound Co. As you can see behind me, I got a big drum kit behind me set up with a bunch of mics. Let's talk about them. So first we're going to go down on the kick drum. Excuse me. Down here we have the AKG D112 in the hole. And we also have Portia the cat running around. Anyways, I got the D112 in the hole. I got it off center of the drum, and I have it pointing towards the center where the beater is. And that's just in the drum. It's getting a good amount of low end, but it's also getting a lot of the attack of that kick. Because on the outside, I have a sub kick mic, which actually gets a lot of the low end. Hi, Portia. Again, the sub kick, it's a homemade speaker that is reversed, and it's getting that low end of the drum. So having the low end from here, the attack, and a lot of low end from the mic that's in the kick, it sounds really good when you add them together. You just got to make sure they're in phase, and once you got it, you got it. Let's move on to the snare drum. All right. I had 3 mics on the snare drum. I had the 57 up top. I also had a 451. I had the capsules lined up and I had them taped together, and they're getting the snare top picture. We're going to go in the control room in a second, and I actually process them a little bit differently. I compress one a little bit more than the other one, but those two put together has a really good snare top sound. The 451 has a 20 dB pad on it, and that's all with the mics there. On the bottom of the snare, I also got another 57. I like those on the bottom because it doesn't get a ton of bleed from the other elements like the kick, which is right next to it. And then it also gets enough at the high end of the snares underneath. Toms. Igor has 3 toms up there tonight for a total of a 5-piece kit. I only have 2 421s, so I pulled out the CAD M179s. They're a really cool mic, and they are kind of like a sleeper mic, I think, for most people, even though a lot of people have been talking about them. But I just happen to have a few of them, and they sound pretty good on toms. I put them up about 3 fingers off the drum, not on the edge, but not in the middle, somewhere in the center between the two. And I have those on the 20 dB pad, and I have them kind of in between cardioid and super cardioid. So just a slightly tighter pattern than just the cardioid there. Moving on to the overheads, I have 2 of the Roswell Mini K87s. I just love these mics. I'm actually about to get a third, so I can have a third match set here. But I have these on the left and right, and then with the third mic tonight, I have the Warm WA87 as my mono center mic. The one on the left, I do drummer's perspective, so I have the one on the left over here getting kind of this cymbal in the hi-hat and this half of the drum kit. This guy on my right, these 2 cymbals and that half of the kit, and then obviously the one in the center gets a whole picture of the kit. Pan left, pan right, pan center, and they just sound really good. It's a nice full picture of that kit. Sometimes I'll use just the 3 overheads and like the kick drum, and it just sounds great, and that might be all I need. But obviously I put the other mics just in case. Let's move on. I got some room mics set up tonight. If we come over here, do the obstacle course of mics and cables. I have 2 mics set up in the rooms. Starting on the bottom ones here, I have a Royer 121, and I use my fist to do just about a fist off the floor here. And yeah, they pick up a lot of the low end and more of the drums, a lot less of the cymbals. And it's also a ribbon mic, so it's naturally a little bit darker. So I'm using that as my dark mic, and then I blend it with the one up here, which is the 414, which is a bright mic, in relatively bright compared to a ribbon. And I have these up high, so it gets a lot more of the cymbals. It's also in cardioid, and I have it pointing that way, away from the kit, so I can make my room sound a little bit bigger than what it is. So again, these are the bright mics. The ones on the floor are the dark mics, and then I can pick and choose exactly what kind of sound I want for the given song or the tone that we're going for. I have these measured in phase to the snare drum because I have the same set over there, which we will pass in just a second. But they're measured in phase with the snare drum, so my left and right, the snare is right in the center there. Great combo. Sounds good. So we're actually going to move this way. And then you'll see, here's the other set of the 121 and the 414 up top. Again, measured in phase with the snare drum. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to move into the bathroom actually. This is my pseudo echo chamber. And I got a mic in here held down by a weightlifting weight. In here I got the Vanguard, the V44S. It's a stereo mic, so it's got 2 capsules, one on top, one on bottom. And you can change the direction. I have them in 45 degrees off each other, and I have them both in figure of 8, so it's a Blumline stereo picture there. I have that pointing into the bathtub in here, and as you probably can hear on the camera, it's a little bit reverberant in here. So I use that as my pseudo echo chamber. It sounds really cool. I close both of the doors so it sounds a little bit further away, and then I can just bring that up underneath, and it's just a super natural reverby kind of sound that I can add to the drums there. So that's all the mics, guys. Let's move into the control room, and we're going to talk about how I'm processing them. Alright, so now we're in the control room. We're going to talk about how I'm processing these mics. If I didn't mention, this song's called Beautiful Things Will Come. It's by an artist named Josh Goodman out of Illinois. And like I said, we're doing drums tonight, so let's talk about how I'm processing them. First off, kick in, again, the D112. I got that coming through my Golden Age Pre-73 Junior right here. And then I have these already hardwired in to where they just go right down the line. So I have, obviously, coming through the pre here. Then it's going through the DBX 266 compressor. I'm just tapping it. So as you can see, my ratio is about 3:1. Medium attack, medium release. Got a little bit of gain coming up, and I'm just tapping it about 3 dB max on the gain reduction there. Once it goes through the compressor, I also have it getting kissed a little bit with the Sonic Maximizer by BBE. And this thing's really cool. The low contour basically at like, I really don't know what the thing does, but it sounds good. The low contour kind of adds a little low end, and then the process adds some high end, so it's a little bit boom and fizz there. I just kind of turn the knobs until I think it sounds good and it sounds cool. And then that's going into the interface, which in the box on my universal control, which I'll give that a second. I didn't have it already open, so let me give that a second to boot up. But I'm able to actually use their PreSonus's emulations to record with. So as you can see here, here's my kick, and then here's my EQ. So it's a Neve style EQ, and I'm able to actually record through the interface in the Pro Tools using the EQ, which is really cool. So EQ wise, again, we're on the kick in. I got about 4 dB of 60, 4 dB cut at 360, and then a 2 dB gain at 7.2K. So it's a really cool thing to be able to use the EQ in the computer and record through it. Next up is the sub kick. I have that one also coming through the pre 73 here. And I do believe I had that one flipped out of phase. I think I accidentally just hit it. So I had that one in there to get in phase with the kick in, and then that's going straight into the box, and then that's also getting a little bit of EQ. Well, maybe not. It's just going flat. So just through the pre into the box flat. Moving on, snare top. That was a 57. That one's coming in again on the pre 73. That one's going down this side of the DBX. Again, just kissing it about 3:1, medium attack, medium release. I'm just kissing it about 3 dB of gain reduction there. Going through the BBE, this is what I had it set on. A little bit of low, a little bit of high. Again, the guys don't really know what it does, but it sounds good. Coming in here, I got a 2 dB push at 220, 2 dB cut at 360, and 2 dB gain at 7.2 again. Just sounds good. Alright, so now we're going to move down here, Igor, if you want to get down here. So then this is my rack of some 511s from Neve. Gonna get a good shot of that. The snare top 2 is coming down this one. I have it labeled up top so I can see it. That one's coming down this guy. And it's going to be going from here into the Lindell 7X 500, which is the 1176 style compressor. And then, what do I have it set on? I have a medium attack, medium release, 4:1 ratio. I have the side chain at 100, so I'm not getting any of the low affecting the compressor. And then I'm just compressing it down. I think the most I got was a good bit, like 10 to 15 of dB when he really hit it hard. But most of the time it was between 3 and 5, just tapping it. That sounded great. And then going in there, I also did a little bit of EQ. I did a big cut at 360. I cut 6 dB out of that guy. And then I also boosted a lot on the top. I added 6 dB at 7K. And then, actually, I even did more. I did a shelf. I'm not sure what the frequency is at. It's probably 10 or 12K. 2 dB shelf on that guy as well. And then again, I put that with the snare top, and it sounded great. Moving on, snare bottom. Flat on the EQ. That guy was coming through another one of my pre-73s over here. And then that was just going right into the box. Not much going on there. Toms. I just used my onboard interface preamps for those guys. And then I did the same thing for all 3 of them. 2 dB lift at 110, 4 dB cut at 360, and a 2 dB lift at 4.8K. And then I did that with all 3 toms. Sounded great with those CADs. Again, Unsung Hero mics there. Over here, I had a hi-hat mic on there earlier. You might have saw it when we were out there, but I actually ended up not using it. I took it off the kit. So we'll move on to the overheads. Flat with the EQ. Actually, I take it back. I had a little bit of a cut at 360 on most of these. Those were running through my 511s down here, and then running them pretty flat. No compression on those, just right into the box. The low mics, flat, onboard preamps. I actually had to flip those out of phase from the other ones because they were reversed. Moving on, again, same thing with the 414s, the highs. Run them flat, no compression, no EQ. And then the same with the chamber, no compression, no EQ. And then that was it, guys. And then obviously here's my Pro Tools session with all the takes we did. And that was about it. So we had a good session tonight. We had Igor do about, I don't know, 10 takes, you'd say, man?
Probably.
Yeah, it was a good amount. And but now we're actually going to comp them together. If you don't know what comping is, I actually have a video on that. If it's not already out, it'll be coming out soon about how to comp takes together, especially in Pro Tools. It's super easy and it's super helpful. So be on the lookout for that. But again, this is James, and we're at DS Recordings tonight, and we're affiliated with Neptune Sound Co. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.